We are going strong. This month, I've decided to write about something that is kind of difficult to talk about.
Oh.
Yeah. We're going to talk about grief. Yeah, when someone passes away.
Yes.
And so I thought it's something that I've seen a lot around me, mothers passing, fathers passing, people passing away. I think in midlife, your parents go, and I thought it would be a good idea to be able to talk about these things in English.
Yes. It is a part of life that maybe is uncomfortable to talk about.
Right.
But at some point, maybe you are living in another country, or maybe you have non-Korean friends.
Right.
That you want to talk with us about.
That's right. That's right. So I want to enable our listeners to be able to talk about personal things. And sometimes that's always hard to do.
Yes.
Okay. So, dealing with grief, I still get a lump in my throat. So all of these expressions on Wednesdays are going to be, expressing how you feel. So if you have a lump in your throat, what? Is it like a tumor? Or is it some growth?
No, usually not. Of course, maybe you will find a situation where that is the meaning. Usually, though, when we're talking about being sad or emotional, it's almost like you're about to cry, and in your throat you get that...
Yeah. 여기 한국말로는 난 아직도 목이 베어.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar.
Yeah, it's similar to getting choked up, we might say,
that's
right?
That's
but
right.
It is that feeling of you're so emotional about something that you can't talk about it.
Yeah. Right.
That is getting a lump in your throat.
Right. Isn't that true? When you get so upset, you almost physically cannot talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, that happens to be one of our expressions. Another one, a person can mean the world to you. Mean, M-E-A-N, mean the world to you.
This means they're very important.
Yeah.
You value them. As much as the rest of the world.
Yeah, they have a lot of meaning for you.
Yes.
Yeah. If you fall apart, we think something falling apart, like maybe a machine falling apart.
Yes.
But when you describe a person falling apart, what does this mean?
This means emotionally they break down.
Yeah.
So they're no longer able to control their emotions.
Right.
They often fall into a severe sadness.
Yeah, that's right. And that's good right there. Break down, fall apart. It's like all of these things that were together just goes into pieces.
Right.
You have no control.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and listen to our dialogue.
Hey, Dean. Why do you look so depressed?
It's the anniversary of my sister's death. I still get a lump in my throat after 20 years.
I'm so sorry. I know she meant the world to you when you were growing up.
It must seem silly seeing a grown man fall apart when he thinks of someone who has been gone for 2 decades.
There is nothing silly about grief, Dean. Each of us has our own way of handling it.
Thanks for understanding, Mandy.
Please join us on page 26. You can find our power dialogue there. Dealing with grief. And it's spelled G-R-I-E-F, okay?
Yes.
I-E-F. I still get a lump in my throat. Mandy begins, "Hey, Dean, why do you look so depressed?" And Dean says, "It's the anniversary of my sister's death. I still get a lump in my throat after 20 years. Okay, so Dean has lost his sister, but even after 20 years, he still gets a lump in his throat. So, like we mentioned, if you get a lump in your throat, it's not necessarily physically that you have this, but it just makes you very emotional.
Yes. So this lump, of course, it's like an ungori, right? So sometimes, like if you are eating, I don't know, soup, and there's this strange circular thing You can also call that a lump,
right?
Like a little ball type of thing. So it's like in your throat, there's just, like you can't swallow it because it's an object that's slightly too big.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
But, that feeling. And this is often used when you are sad, like this is with the anniversary of a death. It can just be emotional. So let's say you're at a wedding and someone is giving a very emotional speech.
Right.
And you're crying. You might be happy, but it's making you cry.
Yes.
And you can still get a lump in your throat.
Right. So this is not always used for grief and sadness, but when you're emotional, good point, that you can get a lump in your throat. When something moves you so much. You know what gives me a lump in my throat? Always is the soundtrack from Schindler's List.
Yes.
Oh, that piece with Ishtak Perlman playing the violin.
Yeah.
Every time it gives me a lump in my throat. I don't know what it does.
Yeah.
But it's just like, right.
Yeah.
That emotion just doesn't go away.
You know what gets a lump in my throat?
What?
So for some reason on social media, my algorithm, there's this old documentary called Wonang Sori.
Okay.
And it's about this cow in Korea.
Oh.
So it's the life of this cow.
Okay.
And it comes up on my social media feed.
Really?
And it just makes me cry every time. It's like a 30-second video of this cow's life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it makes me cry.
I know. You see the things that touches us.
Right. So those are maybe not all, well, I guess they are kind of very sad events.
Yeah.
But just like this, sister's death, there is a range of things that can cause a lump in your throat.
Okay, very good. So Mandy says, I'm sorry. I know she meant the world to you when you were growing up. Okay, so I'm so sorry, and this is a really good thing to know. Because when you say sorry, I'm sorry, we think, Korean people think, oh, 죄송합니다, right? But this is, how is this used when in this kind of context?
Yeah, so whenever someone else is having a bad time, native English speakers will also say, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So in this case, the sister died. I'm sorry for your loss.
Right, I'm sorry for your loss.
It's not an apology.
Yeah.
It's just the English way of saying, oh, I know you're going through a bad time.
That's right. And I'm sorry about that. Okay. And also not just for the loss, but maybe, you didn't get the promotion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's too bad. 안 됐다. Right. Okay. So if someone means the world to you, how important is this person?
They are the most important thing to you.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
So the world, of course, is a big, important place. So you're comparing that person to the entire world.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Simba means the world to you now.
He is my world.
He is your world.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, like my son means the world to me. There you go.
That's true.
Okay.
So true.
All right. What does Dean say?
It must seem silly seeing a grown man fall apart when he thinks of someone who has been gone for 2 decades.
Okay, let's break this down. It must seem silly. S-I-L-L-Y. Silly? Funny?
Yeah, so this word silly has a few meanings. It can mean like, here though, it is kind of a softer way of saying stupid.
Stupid.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it must seem stupid for a grown man to fall apart.
Yeah. So, a man should be very manly and control his emotions. But if a grown man falls apart, what's happening?
Means he is not emotionally collected. He kind of loses his ability to control himself.
Right.
And it's often into depression or sadness when you say fall apart.
Right. So here, he's kind of exaggerating. I mean, it's been a long time since his sister died. So he's probably just getting teary-eyed, a lump in his throat, and he's just saying, I'm falling apart again. Yeah. And he feels kind of embarrassed.
He shouldn't, though.
He shouldn't.
No, it's great that he loved his sister so much.
That's right. And that's why Mandy says,
There's nothing silly about grief, Dean. Each of us has our own way of handling it.
Okay. So Mandy says, no, that's not dumb. That's not silly. Okay. Each of us has our own way of handling it. Our power pattern today is each of us. This can be a little confusing. Each, us, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Each of us. So this is very similar to everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with everyone, the nuance can be everyone together. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say each of us, it does have that meaning of everyone.
But
you're thinking of everyone as an individual, right?
That's right.
So everyone has a different way of handling it.
That's right. That's the difference with everyone and each of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the focus on each.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
한 명씩.
Yes.
Like it's that feeling.
All right. Very good. And Dean says, thanks for understanding, Mandy. Let's go ahead and listen to that dialogue one more time.
Hey, Dean. Why do you look so depressed?
It's the anniversary of my sister's death. I still get a lump in my throat after 20 years.
I'm so sorry. I know she meant the world to you when you were growing up.
It must seem silly seeing a grown man fall apart when he thinks of someone who has been gone for 2 decades.
There is nothing silly about grief, Dean. Each of us has our own way of handling it.
Thanks for understanding, Mandy.
Please join us on pages 28 and 29. It's time to look at some example sentences using these expressions. A lump in one's throat. If you have a lump in your throat, it's because you're very emotional. Usually sadness, but it could also mean just because you're moved by something that you saw. Something is touching.
Yes.
You have a lump in your throat. It was a really nice retirement party for Bob today.
His heartfelt farewell speech brought a lump to everyone's throat.
Yeah. So heartfelt farewell speech. Of course, if someone is leaving and they give a speech, weddings, farewell speech, these things can leave a lump in everyone's throat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, it can be a happiness. It can be a sadness. It can even be like a pride.
Yeah.
So, which is a little different from happiness.
Okay, I'll give you an example. It's kind of like when your child, say for example, graduates from college, and he's the first child in that family to have gone to college.
Ah, yes.
That will leave a lump in your throat. Like the parent and the mom. They'll get choked up.
Right.
With pride and happiness.
Yep.
Okay. Sarah felt a lump in her throat as she watched her son graduate.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I think or maybe, let's say you were in the Olympics.
Oh.
And you got the gold medal.
Oh my gosh.
I would probably cry.
Oh.
My entire face would just be
100%.
full of tears.
Absolutely. And the whole family would cry probably.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. If someone means the world to you, it means that they are incredibly important or valuable to you. Having you at the recital means the world to Olivia.
It was worth leaving work early. She plays so well.
Right. When you have a special event and you invited people, but there are those special people that you really, that mean the world to you.
Yes.
So when they come, it means the world to you.
Yes.
So that means it was a very special thing for you. The handmade card meant the world to Emma because it was so thoughtful.
Yeah. Maybe someone special wrote it for her.
Yeah.
I will say with this, usually you have to say this about people or actions.
Okay.
It is not commonly used for objects unless like the card is
handmade.
Like her grandmother wrote it for her or, something like that. I can't say, let's say, I don't know, you have a appliance you love.
Yes.
Like an air fryer.
Yeah.
You can't say, this air fryer means the world to me.
Are you sure you can't? Maybe it does.
I don't know. Maybe your mother and father are poor, but they saved up money for a whole year to buy you this air fryer.
Right.
That sort of thing where there's like an extra emotion or hardship involved.
Right.
Maybe. But it's not just like, oh, this is important to me.
Right.
There's something
sentimental, special, all of those things. Yeah, it's got to be implied in there. So that's why we say like a dog or, a pet, a person, or someone's actions.
Yes.
Loving action can mean the world to you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you fall apart, it means that you are a big mess, physically and emotionally.
Yes.
Okay? I felt like I was going to fall apart after hearing the bad news.
I'm glad you didn't, because that would have made Mom more upset.
Right. Yeah. Really, really bad news. Yeah, I guess you can fall apart. You hear bad news.
Yeah, you just like fall to the ground. Or...
Yeah, literally you could, you faint. Yeah. The old bookshelf started to fall apart after years of use. So literally,
yes.
An object falling apart means like it's breaking down.
Yeah. Just like, the pieces are coming off. You have to be careful not to put too many books on it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Cameron, can't you even say the house is falling apart?
Yeah.
Because it's so old.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your house can fall apart. Your body can fall apart.
Oh. Well, I think a lot of the professional athletes, with so many years of like training and their body going through a lot of stress, that after retirement, their kind of bodies fall apart.
Yeah. It's so true.
They get real sick.
Right. Yeah. All of their joints are hurting. Maybe they've like pulled some muscles and things like that.
Right. But in this context here, if you fall apart emotionally, it means that maybe you get into a depression. Maybe it could mean that you're crying in front of people, and you don't have control over your emotions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Each of us is our power pattern. What does this mean again?
This means everyone, but in an individual emphasis.
Yes. Okay. Each of us has different responsibilities on this project.
Each of us experiences things in a unique way.
We sure do. And I feel like each of us have a different learning, ability.
Yes.
Not everyone learns the same way.
Yeah. Each of us has a different intelligence.
Yeah.
Like emotional intelligence, social intelligence.
Oh, sure. All right, very good. And our power vocab today is the word silly. In this context, it's closer to kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else should our listeners do?
Please go to Audio Ohaktang. It would mean the world to us.
Oh, yes.
If you signed up for a small monthly fee.
It sure would.
There's so much good content.
That's right. We're not exaggerating here. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.